Welcome to an extra special online worship service this morning. Today we are gathered not only as one congregation, but actually as 4 Unitarian Universalist congregations coming together to celebrate something great. Today we are a gathering of our congregations in Ithaca, Cortland, Athens, and Shashequin, and Big Flats. Each of us provides a voice for Unitarian Universalism in our communities, and today we come together to celebrate a milestone in the lives of some of our youth, their families, and really all of us as we welcome them into adulthood in our congregations.
We are so glad that you've carved out time to be together this morning. We'd like to extend a particular welcome to anybody who is joining us for the first time, perhaps from another Unitarian Universalist congregation or who's checking us out this morning. Welcome. There's a lot of uncertainty right now, but we are certain that we need one another. A few announcements before we begin.
First, I'd like to introduce Sharon Castellanes from our stewardship team in Ithaca for an announcement.
Thank you, Reverend Margaret. Good morning. I am Sharon Castellanes, co-chair of the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca's Stewardship Committee, along with David Solomon. Now, David is a lover of bad dad jokes. And he started this odd tradition of wearing a sparkly purple hat. And I'm a theater kid at heart, and who doesn't love a costume? This year's theme is all about magic. So here's my hat. As you may know, our spring pledge drive generates our church's biggest source of income. In most years, that's more than 70%. This year, we chose a theme of magic. We've highlighted the ways we've sparked magic together in our community. We shared one last incredible lunch at the Magic of Ministry Luncheon, and then quarantine. And yet the magic of this community has continued through all of you supporting each other and supporting our collective ministry. We are so deeply grateful to those of you who have already pledged your support for the coming year. To date, we have received 181 pledges, totaling $322,000. Now, we're a little behind last year, but we still do hope to reach last year's record of 206 pledges and $345,000. So consider the $5 or $10 bill you might have added to the plate each week when we were able to be together in our beautiful sanctuary. If you aren't comfortable making a virtual plate offering now, consider pledging that, almost $200 a year. If you've not pledged yet, please pledge in hope. Modest or large, your pledge is needed. We need to know that you are with us in the year ahead, and we are making those final calls this week to reach out to those of you that have not pledged yet. Once we know the total pledges, it allows FUSIT to budget and plan for our 2021 church year. If you'd like to hear from us, go ahead and make your pledge, and we'll call to thank you as well. You can spark magic in whatever ways you can contribute right now. You can make your pledge online, by text, by phone, by snail mail, or on our website, uuithaca.org. Or you can just give your pledge to one of our team members when they call you. So I hope you are all well and healthy, and I look forward to a time when we can be together again. And until then, thank you for all of the magic you bring to our First Unitarian community.
In Ithaca, we are currently seeking new facilitators for our small groups. Small groups are opportunities to gather with 6 or 8 other people and reflect on the monthly theme, events in our own lives, and thoughts and feelings about the world we live in. If you're interested in joining a small group or becoming a facilitator, please email our engagement and outreach coordinator, Vivi. Her email is on our website. Also, for the Ithaca people today, some information on next week's service. Our music team was able to create an amazing music service with Sarah Thompson. And because of scheduling and whatnot, the service was pre-recorded. And this means that instead of our usual practice of emailing joys and sorrows by Sunday morning, you'll be invited to share them during the beginning of coffee hour next week. Please be sure to check your email, our Facebook page, our website for more information about how to create connections amidst this experience of physical distancing we're having. And a big thank you to Susan Weiss for her tech wizardry this morning with all of the moving parts. There are lots and lots of moving parts this morning, so thank you to all of you for your patience in advance. And finally, for the Ithaca folks, I will be at the beginning of coffee hour to offer a deeper explanation of the letter I sent earlier this week about our safety and reopening plan. So if you have questions or interested in learning more, please come to coffee hour.
The Athens congregation is offering a game night for kids of all ages, and anybody is welcome to join us for that, no matter what congregation you're part of. Our 3-congregation cooperative is also looking to recruit new hosts for social hour and will provide training on Zoom. Please contact Chris Eng if you're interested in that. Each of our congregations will offer a social hour today on Zoom. As Reverend Margaret mentioned, the Ithaca folks will be meeting, and then the 3-congregation cooperative will also be meeting. Hopefully you got that information in your email. Let's take a moment now and each person say out loud in the tradition of the Ithaca congregation. You can say it out loud or silently to yourself, the name of someone that you are grateful for this week. I am grateful for my colleagues this week. Who are you grateful for? And now our youth will lead us in our call to worship this morning.
Yes.
David goes first, and then Lily, and then Elena.
You just had them.
What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. Is it in the chat?
I think maybe we have Lily. Okay.
Just to say.
Lily, why don't you go first, and then we'll have David follow Elena.
Adulthood marks the beginning of a life that's fresh and new. You're free to explore and travel the world and see what'll come to you. Though you've left, you'll never leave. For the past will come and the present is here and the future you'll never see.
I am change. I am human. I am less than perfect. I am new each day. I am alive. I am wild, untamed. I am civilized. I am neither good nor bad. I am natural. I am less than people think I am. I am continually anxious. I am confusing. I am just getting the hang of this. I am me, no more, no less.
What I said.
David's asked Margaret to go ahead with her words.
Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Here you belong. The flaming chalice is the symbol of mystics and heretics, artists and activists, reformers and refugees, and Unitarian Universalists everywhere. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
Hi, friends. I'm going to talk about coming of age in a minute, but first I want to share a moment with you. This year at FUSIT, we offered the program Our Whole Lives to our high schoolers and middle schoolers. As part of the program, the youth got to spend a weekend at our church. During this January weekend, the middle school youth participated in classes from the comprehensive sexuality program. We played games, shared meals, and they even got to sleep on the floor of our church. That Sunday morning, I arrived back at the church pretty early to relieve the brave adults who had stayed awake all night to supervise the youth. They reported lots of giggles and some good sleep. Since I wasn't the parent of one of these sleepy teens, I took the responsibility of waking them up, getting them to breakfast, and on to their class. I walked into the dark and quiet room and looked around. Scattered about were 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, all individually snuggled up in their sleeping bags. Some had found a table to camp out under. Some had their faces gently resting on the pillows that were definitely from early childhood. And some were wearing onesie pajamas, like the full zip up kind. The scene was so sweet. I couldn't bring myself to wake them up just yet. I thought about all of the information that they had gone over the night before, all of the hard conversations on topics that used to be reserved for adults only, and the vulnerability that they had embraced. And there they were, sleeping so innocently. This is what the transition from childhood through adolescence into adulthood is all about. They're 14 years old, but they're still 13, and they're still 10, and still 7, and still 5. But they're also ready to talk about hard conversations and hard topics like relationships and consent. They're ready to think about what death means to them. They're ready, but they still need gentle guidance and support. And this is why we're here today. The Coming of Age program is one of those pieces of church that I'm so excited about. There's so much self-discovery in the Coming of Age program. There's lots of fun times like weekend retreats and pizza making. And there's that ever needed connection that's so important, especially right now. So right now I'm talking to our youth, to those of you who learned about different faiths in the Crossing Paths program, to those of you who are new to one of these churches here today, or those of you who grew up in these churches, and to those of you who still wear onesie pajamas. Coming of age is for you. It's all about you. Please take this amazing opportunity to explore yourself and this life with the support of our amazing congregations. Before I go, I want to congratulate Elena, David, and Lily on their coming of age. We're so happy for you. See you soon.
If you have a joy or sorrow you would like to share for the future, not next weekend because that is pre-recorded, but if you would like to have it read in the future, please send them to Reverend Margaret if you're part of the Ithaca congregation, to minister@uuithaca.org by 9 on Sunday. And bear in mind that our service is live streamed when you consider the private nature of these joys and sorrows. In the spirit of reverence, love, and care, we take time now to bear witness to some of the joys and sorrows of our community, to share those events that call for our prayers and support, our praise and celebration. From Elaine Lovegreen. I am concerned about my brother Nathan, who was hospitalized for 10 days in Syracuse with TTP, a rare blood disorder. He first had it about 5 years ago, then relapsed about 2.5 years ago, then again recently. He went home Friday, Thankful for blood and plasma donors, as the only reason he is alive is because many plasma exchange treatments. Please donate as often as you can. If you can, thank you. Autumn and Elena share the sorrow that Shirley Polay, Elena's grandmother, passed away on Tuesday. Brian McDonald shares two sorrows. His brother, Robert Gordon McDonald, died May 14th in Philadelphia due to the coronavirus. He was 88 years old. And the second of his sorrows is that Friday was the second anniversary of Benos's death. He is so missed. It's been a difficult adjustment, but he's trying to move on. For those we are holding in our thoughts, in our hearts, and perhaps in our prayers, let us call these names out loud into this community, into this space of healing and hope right now. We extend loving kindness to all in our world. And let us not forget to extend loving kindness to ourselves. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, let our hands be outstretched in kindness. And let us keep showing up to our lives and to each other with an open heart, no matter what. Love and courage to us all. Blessed be, and amen.
I invite you to join me in some continued moments of prayer and reflection, holding in our hearts all that has been shared this morning and all that remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. I offer these words by my colleague, Reverend Teresa Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. So may it be. Amen. And blessed be.
this rose will open. I know my fear will go away. I know my soul will grow wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will go away. I know my soul will grow wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open.
Just a little lesson again in the ways that we can prepare and practice some more and prepare some more. And there will still be surprises that are thrown at us. Thank you for your patience, and thank you to that beautiful performance of I Know This Rose Will Open, our monthly meditation. Now to Darcy.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of these congregations and their presence in our communities. Today, we'll be accepting your gifts in a variety of ways, by text, on our websites, or by placing your payment in the mail. We're committed to being a source of hope and love amid the crisis, and we need your support. May these gifts support connection, inspiration, and engagement for these congregations and the way we minister to the world. This morning's offering will now be gratefully given and received. In many cultures, in many places, there's a special rite of passage when a young person enters adolescence. Adolescence is a long journey to adulthood, a time of coming into our own, a time of claiming our own power and autonomy, a time of great challenges, and a time of great growth. Remembering this passage in our own lives, we adults want to make the way smooth for those who come after us. We cannot walk the road for the young people now engaged in this transition, as much as we wish we could keep them from all the wrong turns and rocky places that made our own adolescence difficult. All we can offer is love, our persistent presence in their lives, and some tools for religious understanding and identity. To this end, we pause as these young people, no longer children, enter the pathway to adulthood, to acknowledge this continuing process of transition. We acknowledge the ongoing miracle that we transform and are transformed by our lives. As a larger religious community, we welcome these 3 youth into this new stage of spiritual maturity. The young people who have been part of the coming of age program this year spanned the ages of 13 to 15. They still can't vote. They can't drive a car, and we will not ask them to support a family at this time. But when a person arrives in adolescence, the mind is capable of a spiritual understanding not possible in childhood. And so we ask them to take responsibility for their own beliefs. And we offer them full membership as equals in their own congregation if they so choose. It's said that nothing is valued that is not earned. And so in many cultures, in many places, when it's time for our children to come of age, the youth must prove their readiness to enter this new realm. I want to assure you that these youth have met together with me to talk about their beliefs and values, and were challenged to write a statement of what they believe right now, knowing that it will change and grow as they do. Each was challenged to create a service project. Each youth has also met with an adult mentor to make sure that they had support and connection from outside their families. This is the first time that we've ever held a coming of age program by Zoom. Our original plan was just to do the theology portion by Zoom, since Ithaca, Athens, and Cortland are so spread out. But coming together in person for special events and a big overnight adventure. It was sad to stop meeting with our mentors in person. The youth helped us to decide that with so much uncertain, we would complete and celebrate the program online, knowing how uncertain the future is right now. Together, we talked about how this pandemic changed our lives, what it meant to us, and why hard things happen. It is our custom at our spring retreat, which usually is a big festive overnight with a lot of games and a bonfire, to spend the afternoon in a silent vigil. This year, we held our first ever virtual retreat in which we explored practices like walking a finger labyrinth, and the youth participated from their own homes with the help and support of their families. I asked the youth if they wanted a shorter or a longer time to keep silent alone in their special vigil spot, and they chose the longer time. I shouldn't have been surprised. This group of 3 youth is more comfortable with silence than any I have ever worked with before. Challenges they had in abundance. Some of the youth were challenged with the tough theological questions. What is the purpose of your life? What is the meaning of your death? What do you value most highly? They were challenged by being thrown together with youth and adults they had never met, wondering if they could make real connections through a video screen. Others were challenged to find ways to serve their community, and I think some of them face their greatest challenge this morning as we ask them to speak to us from the heart. All met the challenge of balancing the demands of school, the meetings and community service that comprise this program, with the emotional challenges of sheltering at home for the final months of the program. I found these 3 people to be thoughtful, creative, gentle, and circumspect. Most of all, I am impressed with their openness to the process and how they came together as a team that included adults who supported this program as mentors and teachers. Lily Grover, David Sampson, Elena Pfister. Each of these young people has special gifts that they bring to the world and something to say to our community if we would listen. And so I ask them now to each say a few words to us, beginning with Lily.
This, right now, feels momentous, as though there should be lightning and a clap of thunder. Coming of age. The term feels intimidating, as though I should be able to look back at who I was before the beginning of this program and say, wow, look at how much I've changed. And yet here we are, and at least where I am, there's no lightning, there's no thunder. I feel as though I'm largely the same person I was 8 months ago. And what am I left with? A question. What next? Where do I go next on my spiritual journey? There are two questions that stood out to me over the course of the last few months. What do you believe about death? What do you want to do in your lifetime? I see these two questions to go hand in hand. I thought of the places I want to visit, the actions that I want to do, the sights I want to see, the people I want to meet. And what I realized was this, that in truth, what I want to do is leave a mark. I want to do something for someone or with someone that will make them look back and laugh or smile and be happy. There are two sections of Mary Oliver poems that I believe encapsulate this perfectly. The first quote is from When Death Comes. When it is over, I don't want to wonder if I've made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. And the second quote is from The Summer Day. Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? These sections seem to march forward with curiosity and wonder. They remind me what the important things in life are. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And the truth is, I don't know. I know what it is that I would like to do, but I don't know what I want to do with my life. This answer has returned often. I don't know. I don't know if there's a God. I don't know what that God might be. I don't know how I know what is right is right. With these answers comes a little voice in my head. It says, you don't know, but you should. I tell myself I should. I should know. I should know my answer to these unanswerable questions. And over the past months, the questions kept coming, and my answer remained the same. I don't know. But slowly a change began to come about. Though my answer has remained the same, my response has begun to shift. I've started to realize that perhaps, for me, this coming of age was not an exercise to discover what I believe, but rather to discover that it is okay to not know, to be forever searching for and changing what I believe, changing what I want to do with my one wild and precious life.
Me and my family. I believe in something greater than myself. My top 10 values: family, friends, pets, good food, camping, going outside, walking in the woods, playing in the snow, hard work, take pictures. My belief statement: I believe in walks in the woods because it feels peaceful. I can hear birds and animals. It is a form of meditation. I believe in work, have a sense of accomplishment, make money at the farm, help out at home. My belief. Oh, no. I believe in having fun outside and inside. Make bonfires, cook s'mores, hot dogs, see the stars with my telescope, take photos. I believe in earning money. Started a gumball machine business, earned money by working at a friend's farm, planting cuttings of elderberries and currants to sell as potted plants. What does coming of age mean to me? I have more responsibilities. I started working at a friend's farm 3 months ago. I pay more attention to nature than I was younger. Okay. Coming of age service project. I donated 5 art pieces to raise money for an animal shelter. What do I want to do before I die? Hang glide, raise pigs for meat and sell, buy a mini donkey to protect the pigs. What did I do with my mentor? Ate food, walked around the park, watched people sled, visited the Cortland and Ithaca churches, walked in the woods around my house, painted art, took pictures. The pandemic. I go outside to my woods and feel more since the pandemic because there is nothing else to do. Here are some pictures of a chukar, very friendly bird. Walk in my woods with Chris. Took lots of pictures. Here are some of them. Closing. Chris presenting coming of age gift to me on 5/8/2020. Stick bomb. I like to make stick bombs, and here is a stick bomb that someone made. And that is my presentation.
I am an acquired taste. One really has to be different in some way, shape, or form to understand what I'm trying to communicate to them. Another description of me might be ahead of the curve in many aspects. I guess I grew up faster than I really needed to because I kind of understand adults more than I understand people my own age. This also leads me to be the mom of my friend group. My friends, who kind of choose me, wind up making me the mom of the friend group because I'm protective of my friends, even from themselves. The constant theme of my life is that there is constantly someone protecting me, and because it's always been true for me, I feel the need to provide it to others. When I need advice, I always ask multiple people and find the midway point or go with whatever I think is right. I might ask both parents or 2 friends or family members, or a mix and might ask more. I can ask most family members because even my aunt and uncle in Ohio receive frequent updates. My family is rather close-knit. If someone starts trouble with my cousins, or any of us really, the whole family hears about it. There's almost constantly someone there to protect us, and even when there isn't, we protect each other. When someone needs help, we try to provide it. And my beliefs and values center on the idea that protection is key. This begins in my family and ends with friends. I also believe that somewhere in the realms beyond is a council that protects us as best they can.
We are a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple space, its shrine, the good heart, its creed of truth, its ritual works of love.
Wow. Thank you so much to Lily and David and Elena for sharing with us what you've learned about yourselves, what you've learned about this world and your place in it. I am so looking forward to seeing what you do in your lives and the joy you bring to this world. Now for the mentors. As children and as youth, we are shaped by the adults around us. For many of us, this means being shaped by our adult family members, teachers, coaches, instructors. For others, including the children and youth in our congregations, this list also includes mentorship from adults in our congregation who help us to form as spiritually grounded people. Now, in some cultures and places, children and youth are to be seen and not heard. In Unitarian Universalism, we hold fast to our belief that wisdom and truth can be spoken from the lips of people of all ages. That being said, we also believe that our search for truth and meaning is a lifelong venture. We are all in process. We are all learning. We are all growing. In our Unitarian Universalist congregations, we believe that relationship is an essential component for this growth. We value relationships between generations and encourage adults and children to engage intentionally with one another. We know that we are more together than any of us is on our own. Through the coming of age process, these youth have been accompanied by trusted adults. Each of them chose these adults to be their mentor during this process, perhaps because they already knew them, perhaps because they wanted to get to know them more, or because they saw them as a person fit to offer companionship and guidance. And each of these adults answered this call to journey alongside these young people, to be open to the questions, to wonder about the big questions of life and how they make meaning. I have reason to reflect on my own mentor from when I came of age in my Unitarian Universalist congregation over 20 years ago. Deb, with 2 B's, as I've spoken of her before, grew to be an adult that I trusted throughout my coming of age process and even to this day. Deb even sewed this stole that I'm wearing today and gifted it to me on behalf of the congregation when they ordained me to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. It serves as an illustration of the power of mentorship, of relationship, of friendship to transcend age and generation. These bonds between mentors and youth hold the potential to last well beyond the official coming of age process. Indeed, we might all learn something from these relationships, something about the possibility of intergenerational engagement, the promise of mutual learning and respect, the ability for people to engage in the practice of lifelong learning. Yes, the youth grew and learned during this process, but so did their adult mentors. And now we will hear a bit about this experience from them, starting with Chris.
Being a coming of age mentor, it's like going on a 6-month road trip with someone you know, but really not that well. But you think you like the person well enough to go along for the ride. Then, before you even exited the state, you discover the driver is someone a bit more interesting and awesome than you expected. And you think, this trip is going to be pretty fun. As David Sampson's mentor, I found him remarkably open to adventures, curious about the world, grounded in nature, and generous with his enthusiasm. Being David's passenger in the Coming of Age program is to get to know the places he knew and loved, and to discover new things together. Discoveries often happened over Zoom this time around, especially when David had to ponder the self-directed questions that Reverend Darcy Lane asked the Coming of Age youth over a 6-month period. How do I know what to believe? What do I believe about doing right and doing wrong? Do I have a spiritual practice? What do I believe about a religious community? You can go and answer those questions yourself after today's service. David, I want to thank you for choosing me as your companion on your coming of age adventure. I have enjoyed the places that we visited together, figuratively and literally. On behalf of the entire Unitarian Universalist community, we celebrate all that you are and all that you will become. I presented you with a chalice pendant last week to celebrate the completion of your program. The chalice is a symbol of our faith. As you move into your maturity and ask or answer more difficult questions, may you carry this flame of your faith inside you. And when you think the time is right, invite us along on your road trips so that we can again make new discoveries and shape new beginnings together. Thank you.
Not knowing. I don't know. These two phrases have been ongoing themes in my time with Lily and in our conversations. She is a quiet, smart, curious, articulate, and thoughtful young woman with a great sense of humor. And underlying it all resides a base of innate strength and wisdom that I hope she will continue to discover and acknowledge over the years. She has shown an amazing ability to dig down below the questions explored in the coming of age, to find her unique pearl of truth. I hope I have contributed in some small measure to Lily discovering that not knowing is okay, that I don't know is not only more than acceptable, but sometimes the only possible answer. I think her not knowing will fuel her inner growth and aspirations for her whole life. To be okay with not knowing is a tremendous gift, especially now in the time of COVID. The familiar words to many of you from Rainier Maria Rilke in Letters to a Young Poet, written in 1903 to his 19-year-old protege, seems so appropriate to share with her and with you now. I want to beg you, as much as I can, dear sir, to be patient toward all that is unresolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are written in a very foreign language. Do not seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them now. And the point is to live everything, live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day to the answer. It has been a real privilege to be Lily's mentor and to participate in this year's coming of age. To get to know Lily has been a sweet pleasure. We both love Mary Oliver's poetry, her simple, stunning words. So I'm going to end with two quotes from Mary Oliver poems, two pieces of advice, which she and the rest of us are free to take or not. From her poem, Sometimes, Instructions for Living a Life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. And then from Things to Remember, as long as you are dancing, you can break the rules. Sometimes breaking the rules is just extending the rules. Sometimes there are no rules. I am sending to Lily love and courage on her adventure, finding her one wild and precious life. And the same to Elena and David.
When I first met Elena, I thought she was 16. She was tall and willowy and wore the most distinctive outfits, princely, piratical, absolutely not of this time or place. And her smile had the inwardness of someone laughing at a private joke that no one else could possibly understand. Then I found out that Elena was 12 years old. Being Elena's coming of age mentor this past year has been a privilege. I've been given a glimpse into her uniqueness, her maturity, her strong moral compass, and also the childlike qualities that make her so, sorry, Elena, adorable. During game nights, she alternated between teaching the adults and children her favorite games and enthusiastically participating in whatever others introduced. She has played guitar at services, as well as helping her mother whenever she's the service leader. And Elena looks more poised at the front of the chapel than most adults do. Her chronic and acutely painful physical ailments, which would have made me chronically crabby, have made her patient and also quietly assertive. The tragic loss of relatives in her large and close extended family, including a death that forced her to miss her kindergarten graduation and her grandmother's passing just a few days ago, have left her both melancholy and philosophical. And I think she cares more for others, knowing that they are precious and that their time with us is not always as long as we would wish. Her intense interest in reading and pursuing knowledge sets her apart at school, while her quirky sense of humor attracts others to her. She is a poet, and as you heard earlier, and a musician, an artist, and a thinker. That Elena manages to be upbeat, productive, and curious within the bounds of a traditional public school can be attributed, I think, not only to her own flexibility, but also to her parents, who really get her. On Friday nights, the three of them will be playing Dungeons and Dragons, and on weekends you might run into them at Now Here Pinball in Cortland. I really look forward to witnessing Elena's future adventures and to being part of some of them. We still hope to volunteer at the public library as writing and homework tutors and to help out at the animal shelter. Elena plans to go on to study zoology and possibly become a zookeeper. My wish for her is to stay the extraordinary person she is, and also for her to have a college and work environment stimulating and challenging enough for her to stretch those triple jointed wings. Thank you, Elena, and I wish you all the best.
Ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
As we mark these times of transition, let us remember what it means to be a community connected to one another. Representing the ordained ministry of these congregations, we offer a charge of responsibility to all those present, youth, parents and guardians, and community. Now, if we were together in person, I would ask all the parents and guardians to rise, but since we're on Zoom, I want to ask everybody, the parents, to unmute themselves and scooch into the camera on their Zoom screen. You have nurtured and cared for these lives. From the day they entered your life, you offered them love and support as best you knew how. Their joys have been your joys, their sorrows, your sorrows. As these young people make this transition into their spiritual maturity, they will need you to trust in the influence your love and guidance has had in their lives as they become more and more their own. Parents and guardians, I charge you to have faith in yourself and in the strength of your love for these youth. You will know the right things to do when the time comes. I charge you to dwell lightly on the mistakes, both yours and theirs. It is often through our missteps that our greatest learning comes. Will you offer these youth your trust and love in both easy and difficult times? Will you remain open to them and willing to hear their hopes and dreams and fears, especially when they differ from yours? Will you help them root themselves in their congregation so they will always have a safe community that will embrace and encourage them? If you accept this charge, please answer, we will.
We will.
And now to the community. I charge all the members of Unitarian Universalist Church of Athens and Shashiquin, First Unitarian Society of Ithaca, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cortland, the Fellowship of Big Flats, and all those assembled virtually here today to enjoy watching the metamorphosis of these youth as they grow, to help them blossom into a deeper relationship with this community and with each of you, offering your friendship, your wisdom, your trust, your respect, to remember your commitment to lifespan religious education and exploration, making sure there are programs in place to make a full and exciting religious community for them and the generations after them, to weep with them in hard times and rejoice with them in times of triumph, to model for them lives of service and of integrity, lives of challenge and searching. Renewing the commitment made in the dedication service to journey with them, to journey with their parents. If you accept this charge, please, with great enthusiasm in your living room, your office, your dining room, wherever you are watching this from, please answer, we will.
We will.
Well.
And now to the youth, who I again encourage you to unmute yourself and turn on your cameras if you're able. To the youth, I charge you to know that the choices you make matter. The way you use your gifts matters. I charge you to know that the connections that you have to your family, to your friends, and to your community matter. I charge you to reach out to the people who surround you today and care about you. They will rejoice in your successes and weep with you in times of trouble. I charge you to reach into the past, knowing that you are not the first to travel this road and you are not alone. The roots of family and of this Unitarian Universalist faith are like those of a great oak that nourish and support your life and your dreams. I charge you to remember that you are loved, you are capable, you are powerful. I charge you to remember that you are meant to be in this world. You are meant to overcome hardship and uncertainty. You are meant to enjoy all the wonderful things of life. Youth, if you accept this charge, please answer, we will.
We
We
will.
will.
On behalf of each congregation, the mentors presented the initiates with a gift to honor their passage. Since we were not able to give the gifts as part of this service, we asked each congregation to make a creative social distancing presentation. Youth, as you come into your spiritual maturity, we offered you this chalice pendant, the symbol of this religious tradition, to help you remember that there are others who have wrestled with the same questions that you will face in your life ahead, and that you come from a rich tradition which can be a companion to you on this journey. Do we have a video now from Stephanie?
Okay. Am I unmuted? Yeah. We are just having some technical difficulties because that's what happens. And there is no such thing as perfection in a pandemic.
Yeah.
I, for one, am so inspired by the words that have been shared by these youth, by their mentors. I'm so grateful for the leadership that Darcy showed in organizing this program. I want to say thank you to these youth and their families and the mentors for taking the bold leap of trying this out between multiple congregations. I think it is a beautiful example and illustration of how we can come together. And I think that it will serve us well as we embark on this new journey of a new way of being the church in our communities. And so we will proceed with our closing words.
All righty. Lily, David, Elena, life turns for you.
This is a magic time, a mythic passage in your becoming.
We who welcome you, none of us is too old so as to have forgotten the mystery of not knowing, the delight of a first discovery, the impatience to hurry what will come next, the terrible wonderfulness of the changes.
Don't forget. We remember. And with memory and hope, we welcome you, knowing that you may become, knowing what you may become is a bud bursting into a flower just now.
To you, Elena, David, and Lily.
To you, all our young people, we wish all the mystery, all the discovery,
all the moments, all the changes that are yours.
We can't give them, for they are yours to take.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the hope, love, and courage that it represents. We carry our love and our courage out into this beautiful and broken world.
Our service has now ended. Let our true service now begin. Go in peace. Still on Darcy.
I know. Working on it.